Hey, everybody. What's transpiring?
Transpiring.
What's taking place?
I think lots of stuff.
What's occurring? You see what I'm doing there?
No.
Instead of saying, what's up, what's going on? I'm trying to use
Real words?
proper
Grown-up
terminology.
words? Yeah. My wife and I were just talking this morning about you never growing up.
Yeah.
And she said, well, what does he want to be? And I said, what does he want to be when he grows up? The problem is he's never grown up.
Never grown up.
Anyway, a little sideways there.
Welcome to a super special.
This is our number 25.
25.
This isn't golden. Is this silver?
Oh, please.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think it is silver.
Yeah, I think it is silver.
Yeah,
anyway, 25.
This
This is our 25th episode.
1/4 of 100 episodes. We're 1/4 of the way to that misery.
And it's worth a quarter.
It's worth a quarter, right? 25 cents.
And we're going to do something a little different this time because we want to.
Fair warning. Somebody said fair warning. Lord, shoot that poor boy down.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I'm with you.
Fair warning. We're going to, we're just going to jaw jack.
We're going to toss the challenges aside for this episode. Give us an opportunity to do what we do most, if not best.
Right. But we're going to do it sort of 100%. We might have, some.
We'll have fun.
Some challenges.
But no games.
But not games. And we've got some things we both each want to talk about, want to dig into, and just let it wander wherever it wanders.
There you go.
So
that's what's going on.
Strap in. I was going to say strap on, but you don't.
You don't do that.
Strap
Please
in.
Don't do that. Tune in, turn on, drop out.
Silence your phones. Please be courteous to the person next to you. All that stuff. Don't silence your phone. What am I talking about?
Yeah, you're an idiot.
Turn your phone
Move
up
on.
and get ready, because here we go. We appreciate you tuning in, man. We appreciate all of the listener apes out there.
Yes, official and unofficial.
Yes.
You are apes if you're listening.
You are a mixed apes just because you tuned in. So keep doing that. We really like it when that happens.
By the way, we should probably mention that the name of the podcast is You Should Know This Song, and we are mixed apes and all that kind of
That's
stuff.
Probably important.
They're celebrating the 25th.
By the way, did we mention the name of the podcast? You should know this song.
Tell them what they want, Don.
Exactly. So are you ready for the 25th episode of...
I am as ready as I get.
Of You Should Know This Song. So here are, you should know these things.
There you go.
Because if you know them already, then maybe you'll enjoy some of the thoughts we have on them, and you'll have some something to pitch in.
There you go.
In the comments,
and
on the website, that kind of thing. If you don't know them, now you will.
Right.
And then you can say.
And we are going to try something, and I say try something, following this episode. We intend to put together, at least on YouTube, a playlist of the songs mentioned in the episode.
Right.
Hopefully this can circumvent the we don't get to play the music thing.
Correct. We got a suggestion. It was a good one, really good one. We've had people comment, hey, you should play the music, whatever, and we've both been very frustrated with not being able to play at least snippets of some of the songs, many songs we've talked about. So someone suggested, hey, you should put a playlist together for the songs you mentioned in each episode, and we're going to give that a shot.
Yeah, so look for that on the website. When this episode drops, we should have it out there.
Right.
And the website, again, is youshouldknowthissong.com, obviously.
Correct.
All right.
So here we go, slip sliding away. How about you bring up one of your brain nuggets first?
Well, we had a conversation in a recent episode about Ronnie James Dio, and I proclaimed him to be the greatest rock singer of all time.
To give him a scepter and a crown.
Without question. And I, of course, was being a little bit tongue-in-cheek there.
How would you possibly choose?
And that's the thing is, we've had conversations. You and I have had multiple conversations. These guys are the top 5 rock and roll vocalists. These guys are the top 5 guitarists, and the lists vary, and the lists change every time we have the conversation. Right?
What's the criteria? How would you quantify that?
So Reed sent me 3 different best of rock vocalist lists as compiled by whomever, Rolling Stone. This guy named Steve Hoffman, who does a 100 greatest kind of format for a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And I took a look at them, and largely they're unadulterated crap.
Because
Because
Dio's not the top name on the
no,
list.
not necessarily. And I don't. And like I said, I'm not going to die on that hill. You know, I mean, like as much as you've heard me bitch about Hager before,
Sure.
he's got to be in the list of top 10 rock vocalists.
Right.
I mean, and I could sit here for 10 minutes and go on 15, 20 minutes and go
Sure,
on about who
sure.
should be. There are 30 or 40 people that should be in the top 10 list.
Right. At a minimum.
At a minimum.
Right.
And Robert Plant and
Rob Halford. And,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
you know,
any number of guys and girls.
Right.
But the point that I was making is that there are very few that don't consider Dio to be one of the best at
Right.
straight rock vocals.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I just wanted to say I don't necessarily think Dio is the greatest rock singer of all time, but he's certainly among them.
If Klaus Meine came up to you and asked you, you
Yeah.
wouldn't say, "Oh, it's Ronnie, not you. Sorry, buddy."
Exactly. Exactly. So anyway, not a big deal. I just kind of wanted to be clear on that, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, that was very upstanding of you. Very forthcoming.
Very
to
ape-like.
say you're not going to die on that. Very ape-like. Yeah, very apes-like. And I don't discredit Ronnie James Dio in the least. I know that he, I mean,
He's Ronnie James Dio. Yeah.
He's Ronnie James Dio, and
As a matter of fact,
his voice,
he's just Dio.
and
He
his
doesn't even
voice
need the
doesn't
first name.
speak for itself. It sings for itself. But yeah, there are, when you just let your mind start unraveling even a little bit, there are dozens that just flash to mind. So
Right.
it's hard to say.
And those lists, and they're cool in that they bring up the conversation, but those lists in general,
are somebody's opinion.
yeah, I mean, even
Right,
if
what
it's
are you basing it on?
even if it's an amalgam of other opinion, you know,
Sure.
like
Right, or some AI algorithm was used, or there's even even if the criteria is how long have they been around, how many shows have
Sure.
they done, or some real sort of calculatable.
yeah,
No,
there's
that
still
doesn't-
there's
right.
no way to do it.
It's sound quality, the song you're listening to in the moment. Like, think about how you can be listening to, you know, a Dio song or a Zeppelin song or whatever, Black Sabbath song or a Deep Purple song, or even more current, several more current
Sure.
artists in that, in a moment, and be like, this is the greatest song I've ever heard right now.
And I'm going to use that to segue into one of my subjects, if that's cool with you.
Please.
I was driving in the car, as I do when I'm working. And
I'm glad you were driving in the car.
Well, yeah, it's easier than driving along the car.
Right.
And I was listening to the radio, as I do, and Jay Giles' band came on. Mm-hmm. One of my unsung heroes in rock and roll, I think, largely. I mean, you know, they're still not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow. That is surprising.
They were nominated for induction in 05, 06, 11, 17, and 18,
Nominated and didn't get in.
and never got voted in on any of those attempts.
How are you the Jay Giles band and you didn't get in after being
Well,
nominated?
it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, so there's
That's
no
a snub,
logic to what
dude.
they
That
do.
is a snub.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay Giles passed, I believe, in 2017. John Giles.
Yeah.
So, you know, too bad they couldn't do it before then. It's obviously
Right,
late now.
Exactly.
So at any rate, I was listening to the radio. Jay Giles came
They
on.
had a pretty good number of radio hits.
Yeah. I mean, and I actually heard them on more than one occasion, called the hardest working band in rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Yeah,
touring
yeah.
constantly. But I heard Ain't Nothing But a House Party.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a rockin' fucking tune. I mean, it's just
Sure.
a good time from the first note to the
Right.
last. And it was
They had a lot of those.
yeah,
Right.
and that's
Not a
kind
lot of ballads in the Jay Giles.
no,
library.
all pretty much just straightforward
Right,
rockin'. And they're
right.
what I like to call a boogie band. They got piano, they got
Yes,
harp.
right.
You know, they rock and roll straight through. And it's one of those songs that in the moment, man, this is a great song. This is the greatest song. This is one of the greatest songs.
Sure.
And I mean, it's a great party song.
Right.
Okay. It's, I don't know where I'd put it in a list of greatest songs of all time.
Right. Or
but at that
greatest
moment,
party songs. Right.
at that moment,
Right.
it was top 10.
It was right. It was right there, and
Absolutely.
it was the right song. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even think of what flashed to mind as soon as you said Jay Giles Band. The words came out of your mouth. I heard in my head, you know, centerfold, freeze frame. You know,
Sure.
they're the things that they were on the
The-
radio
the
for, and
biggest
those
hits.
songs were hits. They were
Oh.
ubiquitous
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah,
long,
yeah.
and you still hear them played around on the, as I often refer to, you know, Walmart overhead, Home Depot overhead,
Yeah.
You know,
I did see a reference, by the way, recently to that's one of the things that lets you know you're old is when you hear the songs from your youth being played in the overhead at the grocery store.
At the grocery store,
Yes.
absolutely.
So a little bit more about them. Magic Dick, the harp player, the harmonica player for them.
Yeah.
1979 Rolling Stone record guide, music critic Dave Marsh described Richard Solwitz, Magic Dick, as possibly the best white musician to ever play blues harmonica.
Nice.
Now, that would have been 79, long before John Popper came along.
Right.
But, I mean...
And his popularity. Sorry.
That notwithstanding. Often referred to as Magic Dick and his licking stick.
There you go.
Okay. After they dissolved in 85, Magic Dick spent time working on a harmonica of his own design, the Magic Harmonica, for which he received a patent with co-inventor Pierre Beauregard. Beauregard was the director of the Cambridge Harmonica Orchestra, of which Solwitz was also a member.
Very cool.
That's some cool shit. And Magic Dick and Jay Giles got back together in the early 2000s, I believe.
Yeah.
And formed another band and toured for 4 or 5 years and had a couple of hits.
Right.
Took a couple albums out. Yeah.
Do you know the name of the band off the top of your head?
Of course not, because that would have been intelligent of
Let's
me
get the
to...
Google going for the name of that band.
Let's see
That's
here.
a fun one right there. In my humble opinion, IMHO. Yeah, I always, Doug J. Giles, it was obviously the band, their songs were obviously in the mix of my, musical experience for a couple of decades.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, and Peter
certainly
Wolf's a great
70s,
guitarist,
80s,
right?
and into the 90s. And it's just hard for me to imagine they didn't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, what's the threshold there? Especially after 2 or 3 nominations to get in there. Come on, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, can we sit down and have a talk about this?
I'm sorry. Blues Time was the name of the band.
Okay.
And apparently said the 2000s, they were together in the mid-90s.
Okay. Mid-90s.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, cool stuff. Good information. And what do I have?
What's your thing? What's
I
your
have
first thing?
I have a bunch of notes jotted down about a bunch of artists who I have for a long time wanted to just
Ramble about?
throw up on the show. Throw up. Like verbally throw up, not literally throw up.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm going to just start on a few of them and we'll see where it goes. Everybody is aware of Hozier by now, the Take Me to Church guy, as he's probably best known because of that song on the radio. But for those of you who are not Hozier fans, and I don't want to dwell too long on much of any of these, but if you're not a Hozier fan,
Then you're a
and I
Hozier?
think it's Hozier, sorry, for the reason that you heard Take Me to Church too many times, I would implore you to listen to songs other than that of his. The guy has definitely got the ability to make radio and pop rock radio songs, but he is also an incredible lyricist and is you can tell by his music he is into the blues in a very legitimate way, blues rock, and he's very into creative music, not making high production sterile pop electronica. I mean, his music is super authentic. If you look at some of his live performances and some of the people he's had up on stage with him and that kind of thing, he's into it. Like, he is a real rock artist.
Sure.
And aside from that, the stuff that you don't hear on the radio, it's part, I use the term radio, but even, the streaming stuff, the stuff that would be on playlists as we play this identifying song from this artist. The guy's music is so good, like so good. Listen to the song Jackie and Wilson. I mean, I could just go on and on. He's really, really good, and I implore you to go check him out.
Well, I'm going to have to go and check some of that out because I fall into the category of people you're talking about.
Right. It's one of those shames that somebody, it's like an actor getting pegged for a role they played, and then everybody thinking of them as that actor. Everybody thinks of him as Take Me to Church. The dude is really, really good. And he sells out concerts all over the place, whether it's because the song "Take Me to Church" still rings or not. Right. He's a pretty big deal. Okay, so I wanted to make note that I recently found out, it's a couple months late here, but Crowded House has an album out in early 2024. I listened to a few tracks on it a few days ago. Very good stuff. Go out and listen to that. Love Crowded House.
You sent me a link. I haven't listened to any of it yet.
Sent you a link, yeah. They seem like they're still rolling out tracks, but...
From the album, you mean?
From the album. Like introducing them, but they're all available, online to listen to and what have you. So I'm going to jump to maybe two other things, maybe three, and then I'll give the mic back to Race. There is an album I've had for a very long time, that I've listened to just over and over. It's a CD, but whatever. And now it's on digital format. And no, I won't stop correcting myself on that from using old terminology because I'm old. Anyway, the name of the band is Howlin' Maggie. And the album that I have of theirs is called Honeysuckle Strange. Some of you out there, I'm certain, are familiar with the album and the band, but it has always struck me what a great album it is through and through. Like, there were a couple of songs off the album, one in particular called Alcohol, that got a lot of radio airplay locally. And when the album came out, I think it's an late 80s album, maybe early 90s. Somebody can verify that, but regardless, they got radio airplay on a couple songs, and again, most notably a song called Alcohol. And I don't know if they got, national exposure or national success from that album, but it is such a really great rock album. I mean, it is the lead singer, the hooks, the riffs, the music, the arrangements, there's horns in there, there's hard rock tunes in there. The lyrics are full of sarcasm and tongue-in-cheek stuff. Really clever lyrics. I listen to the album one end to the other pretty much anytime I put it on. When I get started with it, I just want to hear the next song again, and I want to hear the next song. And I'll listen to it all the way through every time I put any part of it on. So, Howlin' Maggie, Honeysuckle Strange is the album.
1996, by the way. You were off by 15 years.
96.
10 years,
I said late 80s and maybe early 90s. So,
so a few years.
My standard, I was off by 15 to 5 years. Okay, moving on. Diving in really quick here. Big Wreck. There's a band called Big Wreck. They're out of Canada. They've been making albums for...
W-R-E-C-K?
W-R-E-C-K. They've been making music for 25, 30 years now, and they've got a lot of albums out. They've been together... They've broken up. They've gotten back together.
Some kind of stormy romance.
The lead singer is named Ian Thornberry. Come on. I mean, Ian Thornberry. He's got to be a rock star. The guy was born with a rock star name. There was, people turned him down for jobs like, you're not supposed to be here. Go do what you're supposed to do. Check out Big Wreck. They got a lot of really great songs. Really great rock band. Interesting arrangements. Pretty much rock and roll, keyboards, guitars, that kind of thing. Great lyrics, great vocals, pretty creative band. And I'll leave this part of my diatribe with a song called Puzzle in Song, or The Puzzle Song, by a lady named Shirley Ellis.
She's the name game lady.
She's the name game lady and the real nitty gritty song lady from the early 60s. Mm-hmm. And I had never heard Puzzle in Song or the Puzzle Song before until you guys may have seen a recent Meta, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg Meta commercial about a guy trying to build a baby crib, and it's obviously to use the typical phrase at an IKEA
Sure.
piece of furniture, and it's difficult to assemble and keeps falling apart on him. Ha ha ha. And he puts these 3D goggles on, Meta 3D goggles, and he's able to, use the 3D imaging overlaid his parts on the floor to look at the instruction manual, blah, blah, blah. Well, this song is playing in the background through the whole thing. And I don't think I'd ever heard this song before.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with it when you sent it to me.
And I was immediately just clipped by the song. I was like, I have to know what that is. You know what I mean? And I really do hope that millions of other people were driven to go to the internet and see what the hell this song is. Well, when I did, I was super blown away. I mean, the song to me should have been like it should be a known song.
Like the Name Game kind of thing.
And the Name Game is kind of seen a lot of the times as a kid's song.
Right.
But it was a serious popular hit.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was a legit song in the day. And I didn't, to my discredit, look up the success of this particular song, but it is readily mentioned on the web and what have you. It's not hidden or hard to find. But man, it is such a cool piece of music. I just can't describe how thrilled I was to listen to it and how many times I've listened to it in the past week.
You've sent me 3 texts about it.
I sent you 3 texts. I mean,
You've got to listen to this song. What do you think? Yes.
I'm excited about this song.
And I did listen to it on the first pass, and it is very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, as I mentioned to you in one of the texts, that it's got a mix of like some Louis Prima jazzy bebop creativity, and it could fit, a lot of aspects of it could fit into current musical styles for pop songs and what have you. And the drum riff and the beat of it, the syncopation. I mean, it's just a cool song. Go listen to it. The vocals are great. It's a really cool song. So that's my.
And I will echo that. It is a really cool song. It's something you should check out if you don't know it.
Yeah, I think you'd really enjoy it. So that's where I'm going to stop with my list of hopefully interesting stuff.
Oh,
somewhere
it's interesting
in there.
to you. I mean, that's
right.
That's what's important, right?
Yeah.
I got several other songs I want to kind of
hit it.
check on here. 30 Days, Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
I wasn't really familiar with it. I heard it on the radio the other day, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's 1955. Chuck Berry, Johnny Johnson.
Right.
Chuck Berry's the writing credit, but like most of that, some people would argue that Johnny Johnson was the force behind it.
Right.
And I'm not here to discuss that. I'm not knowledgeable about it. But it was a tribute to Hank Williams.
Really?
Like Mr. Berry felt that it was important to do that.
That's cool.
And it starts off, it sounds very much like Johnny B. Good or Maybelline does in the beginning, that same kind of I don't know, guitar intro that's 2 or 3, half a bar, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Definite honky tonk vibe. Johnny Johnson's piano in the background is absolutely pure honky tonk. Makes the song, and it really is kind of relegated to the background in this particular recording. Johnny Johnson, by the way, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by Keith Richards.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
My mom used to go out of her way all through my teen years and early 20s to go to. Johnny Johnson played around St. Louis a lot.
Yeah.
And she would go to Jitterbug and dance to his stuff every chance she got. I mean,
absolutely.
She loved following.
But anyway, it's one of those that I wouldn't listen to that y'all need to go and listen to.
Yeah. 30 days.
30 days.
Nice.
It might also be titled 30 Days. You have 30 days to come home or something like that. You better be home in 30 days, but 30 days is the common.
Right.
We're doing a little construction next door, apparently.
Yeah. It doesn't sound too loud, but if it gets too loud, we'll
go hit the guy in the head with a hammer.
We'll stop doing this. Exactly. We'll knock him off his ladder.
So another one that I've come across recently, I've heard it several times on the satellite radios, tuned by Willie Nile, who I'm sure you're familiar with. No?
It doesn't ring a bell. Willie Nile.
Yeah. I mean, he had a fair amount of alt-type stuff hits in the early 2000s, 2008,
Okay.
2009 through there.
Maybe I would recognize.
You might.
Yeah.
There's an album called.
That was loud.
There's an album called House of a Thousand Guitars.
Cool name.
Very cool. And there's a tune called Magdalena. I'm not sure if that's a speed drill or a very fast woodpecker.
It's an impact. It's an impact drill for sure.
Yes.
That's actually about the speed of a woodpecker, though. I mean, really, when you think about it. Anyway,
So
Magdalena.
I particularly brought this up because the lyrics are right up your alley. I've got a little bit of them here. She took me back home. Her uncle was there smoking cigars in his blue underwear. We danced on the roof. We ate on the floor. And when it was over, I begged her for more.
I'll be listening to that song.
That's absolutely a Reed song. Plus, smoking guitars. I mean, just great garage rock is what it is. Okay?
Yeah.
And Willie Nile is right up your alley. You should be finding out about some of him and listening to some of him.
Yeah, I'll be checking it out.
And to all of you apes out there, man, if you don't know him, go check him out. Cool shit.
Go check out Willie Nile. And you said Willie Nile has some other notable songs.
Yeah,
from,
absolutely. That's
from the
just
era.
one of several albums.
Cool.
Again, it's a House of a Thousand Guitars.
Thanks for introducing us to Willie Nile, Race.
And
of
while
apes.
we're at it,
Yeah.
somebody you already know, the Doobie Brothers. You've heard of them.
Yeah, let me look them up.
There's a tune off of what were once vices are now habits called You Just Can't Stop It. And I heard this on the satellite radios the other day, and I don't remember it from the time. And I mean, that album was all hits. It was
Right.
Black Water was on there. I mean, there were literally 7 hits on that album.
Right.
Of course, I can't bring them to mind right now because I'm stupid.
Of course.
But it's a song about the music making you dance, and it makes you dance. I mean, like, it's one of those. If you're sitting down, you want to get up.
Right.
Okay. It absolutely, like, at the risk of losing you, go listen to this song. You Just Can't Stop It by the Doobie Brothers now. Great guitar hook. Patrick Simmons is the guitar player on that particular song. Sunk Baxter does play on the album on several songs, but in this case, it was just Patrick Simmons.
Right.
Huge funky bass line. It's a fucking jam, man. What a groove. It really is something that you need to become familiar
Cool.
with.
I'll go check it out. I do like me some doobies.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the musical kind of doobies. And I'm looking for the song list, the track list off of that. Oh, look at that. It's got a side 1 and a side 2.
Because it was an actual album.
Daughters of the Sea, and
CDs had
Sunday.
side 1 and side 2 as well, but there was only music on one side.
One side, right. Black Water, Spirit, yeah. There's some cool songs on there.
Yeah, very
I'll
cool.
go check that out. And this is, what did you say the name of the song is?
You Just Can't Stop
You
It.
Just Can't Stop It. I got you.
Yep.
Got it right here.
I got more, but you're welcome to take over for a while.
Okay, I'll be at the wheel for a minute. Anybody heard of the band Manchester Orchestra?
Yes.
Yes. Go listen to and support Manchester Orchestra. I don't know that I need to go into it any further, but they have so many albums out. It's surprising for a band who I was only introduced to 3 or 4 years ago.
You have a spider hanging from your face. I believe you got him.
Spider-Face.
We are outside, by the way, in case it wasn't clear.
And I had a spider crawling down my face. Oh, there you are.
You found him.
And now he's gone.
Anyway,
Manchester Orchestra. I was introduced to them a few years ago, and introduced to them on college radio. And the song is Bedhead. The song that I heard that got me started on them. And investigating them a little further, I was really impressed with their range of musical styles. Again, how many albums they have out, how many songs they have out, and how good they are. They're a really good band. Really
diverse and
interesting, right?
eclectic.
Diverse musical styles and really interesting creativity, covering a lot of different areas of the spectrum. Go listen to Manchester Orchestra. We have mentioned the Black Pumas a few times.
Yes.
Cannot say enough about the Black Pumas.
Oh, did I tell you I'm going to see Danielle Nicole
You did not.
in Columbia, Missouri?
Oh, really?
The middle of August.
Very cool.
A buddy of mine, same guy that turned me on to her, actually.
Right.
Sent me a thing. Hey, she's playing. Do you want to go? It's at a small to mid-sized venue in Columbia. There were still tickets when I looked, and if you're interested in Danielle Nicole, go check it out.
Yeah.
If you're in the area, obviously.
Race has shared Danielle Nicole with me through a few instances, a few videos, and that kind of thing.
She is a definite blues rock powerhouse.
Right.
To say the very least.
Yeah, great voice. Anyway, I was going to mention, Young the Giant, a band called Young the Giant, a long while back in one of our episodes. And I know I've introduced you to them or mentioned them to you.
Yes.
In the past. But again, I want to touch on them because they're like a really cool current progressive rock band. They got a little bit more of a modern music twist going on, but I think you would just love the crap out of them. They do some stuff that if you took it off if you took the track off the album and plopped it into a Yes or an ELP or something like early, I don't know, Rahib, something like that, you'd be like, yep, that's right there from that era. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Experimental in a lot of ways, very cool band. And Alabama Shakes has to be mentioned along with Brittany Howard.
My brother-in-law is a big Alabama Shakes fan.
Holy cow, folks. If you are not following Alabama Shakes, if you're not listening to their music, if you're not listening to Brittany Howard, all the real deal. Very legit, super enjoyable, addictive music, like music you just want to have on and that you'll repeat play and repeat play and repeat play. And if it's not, if it's of any additional value or motivational weight, Alabama Shakes, multiple Grammy Awards,
yep.
Brittany Howard, multiple Grammy Awards, just been killing it. And she is amazing. She is an amazing musician, singer, person, artist, and it comes through in her music. It's just great. Just check it out. Check it out. Okay, what do you got?
Well, a short one here. Private Idaho by B-52s came on the radio the other day. And I was going to use it in a challenge, opening lines, but I couldn't figure out how to write down that weird thing that Kate Pearson does.
Yeah.
And I kind of went off on a little.
That's a really hard thing to do too.
I'm
not saying I could ever do it, but I've certainly tried, and
sure.
I know people who have.
You have to watch the video of her doing it. It
it's
just
a tough
flows,
vocal thing
man.
to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I kind of went off on a little Kate Pearson, B-52s tangent.
Yeah.
And I had a misconception. This is apropos of nothing, but there's a song we did. We recently did we mentioned in an episode a Smithereens tune.
Yeah.
Wall of Sleep, maybe behind Wall of Sleep. And there's the line, she had hair like Jeannie Shrimpton
in 1965. 65? Yeah, 65.
And I always thought that was his reference to Kate Pearson from the B-52s.
Really?
Yeah, something gave me that years ago.
Well, I can see how how your mind would,
absolutely
be triggered in that regard. But yeah,
and so then
I even looked that up. Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
it does occur to me that years ago when that song came out, I was curious because I frankly wasn't familiar with Jeannie Shrimpton.
Right.
In 65. I mean, I was born in 62, so
right,
I didn't know what the reference was, but I Googled it, and yeah, that she was a person.
Yeah, she was a very well known model at the time.
Right, absolutely.
And I don't know how Pat Denizio would have known either because he wasn't much older than you and I are.
Yeah.
He has
Who
since
knows
passed.
how people are exposed to these things?
But at any rate, so apparently it's about a woman that was in a band called the Bristols, named Kim something or other, and they did a show together, and he had a horrendous crush on her, and she blew him off. Pat Denizio.
She had hair like Jeannie Shrimpton.
Yeah, and legs that went forever. He was halfway paralyzed. Yeah. At any rate, I for some reason, like I said, I had thought that it was Kate Pearson because she fits the
sure
description that he gives.
right. But hey, Jeannie Shrimpton.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a real thing.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Amanda Green. We'll talk about that some other time.
Okay.
At any rate, where was I going? Yeah.
That was apropos of nothing, so give us something else.
I went to look at the stuff because I remember Kate Pearson doing background vocals for the Smithereens on a couple of songs. I was wrong. I couldn't find a reference to it anywhere. So either I was wrong or it's not.
Or it didn't happen.
It's not readily available. But for some reason, I had it in my head that she had done. I mean, they're both from New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, you got that, right?
So surely they know each other.
Exactly. All those folks.
Surely there's an overlap there. It's only a few million.
And I've got a couple more, but I want to spend a few minutes on this one. This one really kind of, you'll think it's so cool. You remember the song "Basketball Jones" by Cheech and Chong?
Basketball Jones. Yes, I do.
Yes, it takes place as an interview with a basketball player, Tyrone Shoelaces.
Tyrone Shoelaces, yes.
As voiced by Cheech Marin. So
I haven't thought about that sketch in a long time.
They were recording it. I can't tell you whose studio they were at.
Yeah.
EMI, I'm not sure, but
Smoke-filled Studios, which should be the name of a studio.
Oh, it absolutely should be the name. It probably was. There was some that might have been known as the Smoke-filled Studio.
Right.
So at any rate, apparently there were a bunch of things going on in that studio at the time, in that wing of the studio.
Yeah.
In more than one recording room. So other people heard this going on, other artists heard this going on. This was originally just Cheech and Chong and a guitar.
Right.
On this song, George Harrison, Billy Preston, Tom Scott, Klaus Vorman, Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas, Carole King, all but Carole King, wandered down the hall and wanted to be involved, and they built the song on the fly right there
with the
Cheech and Chong.
Who
Yes,
showed up. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm betting that it was a smoke-filled studio. You kind of have to listen to it.
That's,
and the only one, Carole King was the only one that somebody went and said, "Oh, she needs to be here."
Right.
And went and called her to come down to the studio. Okay. I don't know why or how, but
come and be part of this spoof
absolute
song
insanity.
Recording session.
So,
oh my gosh, that is such a fantastic story.
The Blossoms and Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas performed vocals as cheerleaders in the background.
Can you imagine how fun that room was?
That's why I brought it up, man. I mean, like I said, I don't know why the song came into my mind.
I need the whole. I'm assuming there's the story is laid out on a wiki page or something.
Well, yeah,
or somebody's
and actually,
website
I'm
or
pulling
whatever.
it up right now so that I can kind of reference it.
Yeah, I'll want to go.
Let's see here. By the way, it's a parody of the number 16 Billboard Hot 100 song called "Love Jones" by a band called Brighter Side of Darkness.
Oh, I did not know this.
In the album version, the song was preceded by a mock interview with Jones' basketball coach named Umgwana Kickbooty.
Yes, I recall.
You may remember.
This is bringing back some bad memories.
Oh, man. So cool. It's just some notes on recording the track taken from a booklet accompanying Where There's Smoke, There's Cheech and Chong. Cheech sings and Tommy plays piano. That's all it was at first. In Cheech's words, George Harrison and those guys were in the next studio recording. And so Lou Adler, one of the production guys, ran over there and played it for him. And they came back and made up the track right on the spot. It was a wild session.
So great. So great.
Lou Adler recalls, I probably called Carole King and told her to come down, but with Harrison and Vorman, I didn't say come in and play. Everyone happened to be in A&M Studios at that particular time doing different projects, and the project was spilling out into the studio corridors.
That is so cool.
Let's see.
I mean, when that
Tom
kind
Scott
of thing...
on sax, Billy Preston on keyboards, Jimmy Carson on drums, Jim Keltner also on percussion, Nicky Hopkins on piano. I mean, it really...
That is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
I mean, when I was listening to that...
Ronnie Spector is one of the background singers.
When I was listening to that song, listening to that comedy album, I wasn't in my right mind. And certainly, even if I was, I wouldn't have been thinking this is a highly produced, high-end song with important players all over it.
Yeah.
It's a serious spoof.
It actually hit number 15 on the Billboard charts, making it the Hot 100. Making it, and by the way, when we reference the Billboard chart, we're generally talking about the Hot 100, which is singles,
right.
or the Hot 200, which is albums.
Albums.
It was the only spoof song to chart higher than the original song.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and apparently there's an animated film short based on it as well. But I just thought, man, what a
based
cool,
on
what a
the
cool
song
story.
itself, or based on the
based
story
on, no,
about
based
the
on the song.
That's so cool. That is so enjoyable and so cool and so. I mean, I gotta go
and
check
that,
it out.
it's kind of like one of those things. It's the reason that rock and roll is rock and roll.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Here's a couple of stoned idiots.
Right.
You know,
Which wasn't uncommon.
Right.
Right.
Putting together an obviously
a comedy song. They were a comedy duo.
Right.
That's what they did.
And just like kind of on their own, just spoofing on the song, spoofing on ABC's Wide World of Sports,
Right.
spoofing on sports in general, and half a dozen plus
Sure.
great top name,
really
top level,
name notable
exactly
musicians.
said, "Oh, I got to be a part of this."
Including, because of the cachet,
Right.
one of the Beatles.
Right. Well, two if you count Billy Preston.
Well, okay.
The
All
fifth
right.
Beatle, he's often called the fifth
yes,
Beatle, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so just fucking nuts, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool.
That
I
is bizarre. I love those stories.
knew you'd dig it.
That is a wormhole story right there. You just want to dig in, and it leads you to all kinds of other places
spent,
and all that.
I don't know, half an hour on the web just
Yeah.
checking that shit out. It was very cool.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Very cool.
You want to go or you want more?
I want to go through something real quick.
Sure.
I'll try to keep it brief here. Touch on a couple things. We were talking about this earlier, and it's a point of amusement for me, or entertainment, or enjoyment, or appreciation. If you know the band Cake, then you know the band Cake is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, unquestionably, unequivocally, no matter who you are, like, I know people of all age ranges who listen to Cake, and they're like, what band is like Cake? I mean, my gosh. Anyway.
And who doesn't like Cake?
Who doesn't like Cake?
Which I think is a comedy bit by Jim Gaffigan. But go ahead.
So something that has always entertained me is, other than Cake in every respect, is the album names. And I need to look up if there's some information about how they come up with them. But real quickly, the names of their albums are things like Fashion Nugget, Comfort Eagle, Prolonging the Magic, Pressure Chief, Motorcade of Generosity, Showroom of Compassion. I mean, where do those names come from? Is it just, they're throwing word jumbles out? They're playing Scrabble and just throwing the dice on the
You never know. And can I segue on your Cake thought here?
Yeah.
So I'm driving down the road, again, listening to the radio the other day, and my job takes me from client to client. I've spent a lot of time in the car.
Sure.
As you well know. And I pulled up something by Southside Johnny. I wanted to hear it. It came to my mind. I wanted to hear it. And for some reason, I pulled it up on YouTube, and I wasn't paying attention. And the next song that it played, completely unrelated, was "I Will Survive," Cake's cover of the. Okay.
That's a switcheroo, ain't it?
Yeah. And I got to tell you, it started. I got about 2 bars into it, and I stopped it, turned the radio all the way up, and started it again.
Started over again.
And I was a couple blocks from home, and this is just a few days ago, and I started my vacation today. And I decided right then and there that Cake was going to be the music of my vacation. And
hey, that's such a great idea.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick an album.
Everybody needs to do that and then tell us what your vacation band is.
Yes.
What a great idea.
There was a year, I had a vacation many, many years ago when Eliminator by ZZ Top was popular.
Yeah.
And that album kind of became the de facto album of the vacation. You know what I mean? We listened to it probably every day, if not 6 days out of 7. Right. Kids were little. It was just jamming rock and roll. Everybody's dancing around the house. And I haven't really thought about that occurrence, the vacation theme.
Right.
And then when Random Access Memories by
Daft
Punk came out a few years ago. That's got to be probably 10 or 12 years ago now. That album kind of became the de facto album of the summer at my house. The kids were still here. living here, and it was an album that we all dug.
Yeah. Right. Everybody enjoyed it.
Exactly. So it
Participated in it
played
together
constantly during
Right.
that summer.
Right.
A lot of pool time, loudspeakers, going
right.
on.
Shared the buzz
And
of
that
the
was the
music off of
second
that
time that coincidentally an album or a theme became, or a band became the theme of the summer.
Right.
But I'm planning this one. And of course today's the first day of vacation, and I have not listened to any Cake. I've talked about them, but it's going
We
to
haven't
be.
had a chance
It's
yet,
going
but-
to be the band.
The reason
of the
that that's
vacation.
exciting for me is because I suspect that there is a good amount of Cake that you're not familiar with.
Right. As much
That
as I
songs
like
you
them.
haven't heard.
Yeah.
And I had the experience. Couple few years back, I've always sort of been into Cake, and with their first few albums, I got the album and
Right.
I listened and know the tracks and what have you. And then as life does to you, you don't have time to do that, and so on and so forth. You get distracted, but they still had really good airplay,
Right.
especially college radio. I mean, they're still huge college radio band. So I did get to hear a fair number of songs. I felt, off of Cake's developing, songs, and I came to the awareness that there was like an entire album that I hadn't heard, and I think it was Comfort Eagle. I'm not sure now, but
But it was one fairly early in the.
it was from 6-7 years ago or
Okay.
so, and
So later on. in
I
their
don't know
development.
how I came across one of the songs, and I was like, I've never heard that. So I went and searched it out and found out what album it's on. I couldn't stop listening. I listened to the whole album. I was just, completely taken by it.
Yeah. So anyway, Cake of the summer.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Summer of Cake, actually.
The
is what it
summer of Cake.
Yes.
The Cake break. It's a Cake break.
Okay.
Your vacation is a break from work, and you're having cake for your break.
You don't have to explain your lame
No, I
ass-
do.
Yeah.
Because even I don't get it.
Okay. You got more? I got one. Or if you got more.
You go.
Okay. I heard something I hadn't heard before. A version of a song. I knew the song, but I hadn't heard the cover before. Bob Marley and the Wailers, back in the early days of Bob Marley and the Wailers, did a cover of What's New Pussycat? The Tom Jones song.
That is the kind of esoteric I just love.
Yes. And it was Bob Marley and the Wailers, so it was good.
Right.
But it's What's New Pussycat, so you kind of
So
are
it's-
listening to it with,
it's weird. And it's reggae.
yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
It's,
Yes. And if you haven't
Oh
heard
my
it,
gosh,
if you
that's
haven't
so
heard
cool.
it, go and find it just for its own unique wonderfulness.
Right. Listen to something.
That song is kind of cringe, even by
Sure.
not just by today's standards. It's
Right.
just and you and I, having lived through the Tom Jones era, certainly we were exposed to that over and over again.
Yes. He wasn't the only cringy performer in that regard.
But
Or performer with a cringy song or two, I guess I
yes,
should
exactly.
Because I do like Tom Jones. I thought he was cool.
I saw him live
He
In-
emanated cool, whatever,
in the early '90s.
emulated.
I won a.
You saw Tom Jones live.
I saw Tom
I don't
Jones
know
live.
anybody else who can say that.
I won tickets to the Billboard Music Awards.
Oh, wow.
Sitting in a bar watching a football game with like 6 people in it, right?
Lightning struck.
And Casey was there
Yeah.
broadcasting. And again, there were like 6 people in the bar.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was a bar that was normally full. I don't know what, maybe it was a Monday Night Football game and whatever.
Right.
So at any rate, I won. I was there with a guy, and his girl showed up, and she's like, "Did you guys enter in the contest?" And we're like, "We're
What are you
watching
talking
football.
about?"
What are you
Right.
talking about?" And so she entered me in this contest, and I won. And it was the next day. Like
Oh.
I had to go, and my boss was coming in town to do a review, and I called him. I'm like, "Hey, by the
Hey,
way,
dude.
I just won tickets to go to LA and see the." And he's like, "Here, full." And I'm like, "I'll leave a copy of the thing on the desk
Sure,
so you
I'll
can see."
prove it to you. I'll prove it
And
to you.
pissed him off to no end, but I went. And it was Tom Jones had an alt tune that he was doing. He was trying to come back
Sure. Yeah.
with a different, and like originally
Was it Kiss? He
did
did Kiss, Prince's Kiss.
no, it was his own tune.
Oh, he had his own tune.
But he did perform that when I saw him.
Right.
He originally wasn't supposed to be a crooner.
Yeah.
He was a rock and roll singer.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I guess the music people, the record companies, saw how older women responded to him and completely redirected his career, and he was never happy about it.
Really, I did not know this.
Yeah, so this thing that he was doing, and again, it was the early 90s, he was trying to reinvent himself.
Yeah.
I don't know that it ever worked for him.
Sure.
But I saw he didn't do any Tom Jones songs that I knew. He was doing this whole new...
He didn't.
No,
Wow.
Yeah.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone or anything like that. He didn't do any of those?
Any of that. Yeah. So anyway, I saw Tom Jones. But the reason that I mentioned the Bob Marley thing was because I also heard a reggae cover by Toots and the Maytals of Louie Louie.
Oh, that tracks.
I never had heard that version of it before.
That tracks. I may have heard that.
Yeah, I thought you might be familiar with that. I know that you're a big Toots fan.
I have definitely heard a reggae cover of Louie Louie, but I want to say it was like the Specials or something.
Well,
Anyway,
the song was
that song Lens.
The song originally was done in the early 60s, 63 or 64, before the Kingsmen did it and had the huge hit that they had.
Right.
Was done by because Calypso was really big then.
Sure, yeah.
Like what's his name? Harry Belafonte. Harry
Oh,
Belafonte.
love Harry Belafonte. God,
yeah.
That guy was so great.
But Calypso, he was big right then. Calypso was going on, and the song, I mean, it's written about a guy on a boat sailing to Jamaica, right?
Right.
So
My little girl, she waits for me. I take a ship across the sea.
Yeah, absolutely. Me take the ship across. So anyway, it was really a cool version of the song, and it caused me to go and look up Louie Louie and the whole weirdness about the lyrics. And apparently, they've analyzed the lyrics now with technology that they didn't have back then. You know, the FBI actually did a 2-year investigation into the lyrics because they thought that people were using it to give subversive messages to our youth.
Wow.
Yeah, like that.
I was not aware of that. I was aware of...
J. Edgar Hoover commissioned...
Looked into the lyrics of Louie Louie
and it was a 2-year-long investigation.
As secret code?
Yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that crazy?
Also.
But at any rate, when they now
you
have
win
analyzed...
the most interesting material for the show award today.
Oh, thank you.
No question.
They've analyzed the lyrics now, and ideally... Boy, I'm having a little trouble there. And I haven't had anything to drink other than iced tea.
You need to get some drink in you.
Maybe that's the case. The lyrics are identical, like virtually identical. Other than in one cut, the drummer drops a stick and says "fuck." But I don't know that actually made it out to the onto the version, the
radio version or whatever. Right.
But yeah, and there have been all kinds of ridiculous. I mean ridiculous, like 300 million copies sold. Like, there's no way if all the covers, like every band that ever did it would have had to have a gold record with it for that to be the case.
Right.
There have been all kinds of ridiculous claims about how many
conspiracy
copies
theories
and that as well.
Right.
But at any rate, I thought it was pretty. It's like 9 times I said it at any rate. Yeah.
Right. And I haven't said my standard response to that. Yeah.
So Louie Louie.
Yeah.
By Toots and the Maytals.
I did for some reason, and it hasn't been too long ago, read some interesting stuff about the sort of origins of the lyric content, but I didn't catch that thing about the FBI investigating it. That is marvelous. Just marvelous. You got something else? Or are you gonna
let's see. I think the only other note I had was Hang On Sloopy.
Wow.
And the
which could fit into Louie Louie.
Yeah, I think that might have been the segue, actually.
Right.
And just a couple of weird facts. One, Rick Derringer was in the McCoys.
Yes.
When they did...
Right. Hang On Sloopy.
Hang On Sloopy. And they weren't the first band to record it, by the way.
No, I think I knew that.
Although I didn't capture who the band was, because it wasn't relevant to what I was going to say.
Sure.
But somehow, the thing is, Who is Sloopy became a thing.
Yeah.
So there were some, somebody's girlfriend kind of a thing. But apparently there was also a woman... Somehow...
And everybody, at one point...
Snoopy.
Yes. Believed that the words were Snoopy, because why would somebody be singing about...
What's a Sloopy?
And it sounds so close to Snoopy, and Snoopy was popular then.
Yes.
But why would Snoopy need to hang on?
So somehow
all
it
the
became
questions.
like it's the theme song Ohio State University, maybe, or the University of Ohio, one or
Yeah.
the other. And I'm gonna double check that real quick because I want to know. Originally called My Girl Sloopy, 1964, written by Wes Farrell and Burt Burns. The band The Vibrations were the first to record it for Atlantic Records. Reached number 26 on the Hot 100 chart. It's associated with Ohio State University and is their Ohio's official rock song.
Huh.
One of the first songs recorded by the Yardbirds with Jeff Beck. I didn't know they did that.
I did not know that.
There you go. I did not know that. McCoy's version was the most successful when it reached number 1 in the singles charts.
Huh.
Let's see, where was it going?
Yeah, the McCoys I knew about, of course.
Yeah,
but
so
the
and
Yardbirds-
the only, by one account, the inspiration for the song was Dorothy Sloop, a jazz singer from Steubenville, Ohio, who was a student at Ohio State University. I don't know if any of that part is true. That's an assumption.
Sure.
By one account, it says.
Right.
But
That's
just
someone's reference to a possibility.
because of that connection, apparently, it's become like it's the official marching song of the Ohio State football band. You know what I'm saying? It gets played at every single game.
Right.
And it's the official rock song of the state of Ohio.
Right. Which I didn't know states had official rock songs.
I know that ZZ Top are officially Texas heroes.
Texas, right. Sort of their band, their rock band.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was what I had on Hang On Sloopy. It was very, very strange.
So it just occurred to me, flashed into my head when you were talking, how many states have a state song, and apparently 48 of the 50 U.S. states have at least one state song.
But not necessarily a state rock song.
Correct. And a lot of them, looking through the list, Home on the Range in Oklahoma and Yankee Doodle and what have you, are, by this time public domain songs. Or songs like My Old Kentucky Home with the state's name in them and that kind of thing. But that's kind of an interesting list to go look at too. Scanning through it, but I won't spend any time on it. Really.
We'll put that in a future episode. So, all that being said, it's been better than an hour, I think.
Yeah, we're just past an hour. Any last nuggets here?
For me, no, I think I covered everything on my list.
For me, I want to hit real quick other go listen tos real quickly. Cold War Kids. The band Cold War Kids is still considered largely a alt radio or college band, but they've been around for a while. They have a lot of albums, and they, in my opinion, are a really great band that deserves a heck of a lot more credit. Great writing, great performing, the whole thing. Lake Street Dive, a little off.
You've shared them with me before.
Lake Street Dive is, they're pretty well established at this point, and they are pop, blues, jazz, rock. Maybe I'll change the order: blues, pop, jazz, rock.
Okay.
The lead singer is just delightful. Her voice is astonishing, very, very enjoyable. A younger artist named Remy Wolf, who probably is a little hard to get your mind around at first, but I love her to death. There's a band called Spoon, who is a fairly well-known band at this point and been around for a long time. Regina Spektor is an artist that I absolutely love. The Arctic Monkeys.
I know them.
If you know a few of their songs, you may not be familiar with the depth and breadth of their music. They are inarguably an alternative music band from England, whatever, and they are really, really good. Like, so enjoyable. Their lyrics, their arrangements, their playing, the whole thing. So I think that rounds out the things I wanted to at least touch on, and I'll hit the rest of my list at some other time. That's what I got on my side.
Cool. Well, I'm satisfied that I got to run my mouth for quite a while on
Me too.
several different things.
Yeah. This has been our 25th episode.
Which means that you and I have spent, at a minimum, 25 hours together doing this.
At a minimum. And we're, interestingly or not, coming up on a year.
Yeah, that we've been working on it. Not a year that's been,
initiated the podcast.
Yeah.
So, as we understand it, podcasts last 3 to 7 episodes. 90, some ridiculous number, like 97% of podcasts last handful of episodes. What does that mean?
It means that we are either gluttons for punishment. Or,
yes.
Or that
we're on to something here.
Or that we're completely ignorant of the fact that no one's really listening.
No one's really listening. I don't think we're ignorant of that fact, but we do want to say to the handful or the masses, maybe secret masses. Let's go with that. There's secret masses listening.
Sure.
And they just, they're a little embarrassed to be identified with a couple of apes like us.
That could be.
They listen in their cars on the way to work and then erase their web history.
We are well over 1,200 downloads of the 24 episodes.
24 episodes
so far.
Right.
So I mean, it's not
do
nothing.
the math, folks. Do the math.
It's not nothing. We're averaging around 50 downloads per episode.
Yes.
And our numbers are slowly but steadily growing as far as followers.
Right.
This time next year we might have as many as 5 or 6
actual followers. On that note, and with all seriousness,
thanks.
Yeah.
Again, as we always say, the main reason that we do this is to be able to share this stuff, and I couldn't be having more fun.
Right. Sitting here talking about the music that we love and the things we love about the music we love and the interesting, just.
If we were getting paid for it, would be the only way to make it better.
Only way to make it better. What a sort of privilege to be able to spend some time doing this, just talking about it and all that. The website is www.youshouldknowthissong.com. On that website, you can find episodes and you can find interesting stuff about how the show came about. And you can find some links and references to charitable organizations who are doing good in the world. Places to leave your comments, and on your podcast platform and whatever, you can also leave your comments, leave your input, send us an email, send us an idea, a thought, a critique, a critical note. Send us a cake, a nice cake for Race's vacation that we can share.
Man, you are still broken. That has not changed. All right, well, thanks so much for allowing us to do this and for allowing us into your vehicle, your home, your nest.
Your nest, your ape's nest. Yes, thank you.
It's been fun sharing, and again, we are Mixed Apes.
Broadcasting live from Race's Oasis.
Yes, he can't get away. And
hey,
now
also
I'm saying it.
Donate to Wikipedia.
Oh, yeah.
Donate to Wikipedia.
You got one more?
Donate to Wikipedia. I should do it 25 times in honor of our 25th anniversary. 25th episode.
I only allow him 3 per episode max.
That's right. I have a cap of 3. Thanks, you guys.
We're out.